All right, so welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah, glad to be back.
Today we're going to be looking at nested for loops in Python.
Right.
And I know that you all have been working with Python's range function.
Yes.
And so you know all about making things repeat a certain number of times.
Right.
Stepping through numbers in specific ways.
Stepping indeed.
And also you've been working with groups and group.children to organize elements.
Yes.
So today we're going to be connecting those ideas visually by exploring these nested for loops.
Right.
The goal here is to really understand how this loop within a loop thing works.
Yeah.
And how it builds directly on the understanding of range that you already have.
Yeah, and we've got some code here that shows how putting one loop inside another can create some pretty cool patterns, some pretty structured and infuriating patterns.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into this.
All right, let's do it.
So the source material that we're looking at starts with this really simple picture. 3 circles stacked on top of each other in a single column. And the Python code to do that looks like this, Python. Label one column of 3 circles, 240, size 16, for y in range.
Yeah.
100, 301, 104, for y in range, 300, 301, 100, circle 50, y 20. So you can see right away the range, 100, 301, 100.
Yeah.
That's giving us our y coordinates, 100, 200, and 300.
Right.
For each of those y values, we're just drawing a circle.
Mm-hmm.
The x coordinate is staying constant at 50, so they all just line up nice and vertically.
Makes sense.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Absolutely. It's a simple way to see repetition in action.
Yeah.
One loop, 3 circles, 1 column.
Now, what if we wanted to take that single column and repeat it? What if we wanted to make like a grid of these circles?
That's a good question.
Yeah, how would we code that?
How indeed?
So if one loop lets us repeat something vertically, to repeat that whole vertical arrangement horizontally, we'd need another loop.
Okay.
A loop outside that first one.
Right, a loop outside the first loop.
And the source introduces this new variable x. And this outer loop is going to go through the values 50, 150, 250, and 350.
Gotcha. And you'll notice how those x values are spaced out by 100?
Right.
Just like the y values?
Yeah.
So if the first column was at x coordinate 50, these new x values will tell us where to draw those next columns of circles.
That's cool.
Yeah. So for each of those horizontal positions,
Okay.
we're going to want that same set of 3 vertically stacked circles.
Right. So for every x, we're going to go through 100, 200, 300 for y. Exactly. Gotcha.
Well,
okay, cool.
Yeah.
So the code to draw this whole grid of circles looks like this.
Right?
Label, nested for loops, demo, 220, size 20, bold, true. Label, 3 rows of 4 circles each, 240, size 16. For x in range, 50, 351, 100. For y in range 100, 300, 100. For y in range 100, 300, 100. Circle x, y, 20. All right, so it looks a bit more involved, but I think if we just trace through what happens step by step, it'll make sense.
Yeah, let's break it down.
So the outer loop starts, and x takes on that first value, which says 50.
Right.
Now, for this specific x of 50, the entire inner loop runs. Okay, and that inner loop, as we saw before, draws 3 circles of those coordinates, 100, 200, and 300.
Right.
So bam, you get the first column of 3 circles, all at peaks 50.
Yep. Think of it as the outer loop,
Yeah.
saying, okay, we're working on the first column right now, pice 50,
Right.
and then it hands it off to that inner loop,
Okay.
which takes care of drawing all the circles within that column by changing the y values.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah. And once that inner loop has done all of its y values, 100, then 200, then 300, it's done for that x.
Right, and then it goes back to the outer loop.
Exactly.
The outer loop says, okay, now x is 150.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to the inner loop and does the whole thing again.
Right. You got it. And we get another set of 3 circles drawn,
Mm-hmm.
but this time the x coordinate is 150.
Okay.
And the u coordinates are still 100, 200, and 300.
Right, okay.
So now we've got our second column, and then this whole thing just repeats for the remaining x values.
Okay.
250 and then 350. And each time the inner loop dutifully draws a complete column of 3 circles.
Okay, so for every single step of the outer loop, the inner loop goes through all of its steps.
Exactly. That's the key idea here.
Yeah.
This nested structure is really handy for creating these grid patterns like we're seeing here.
Okay, cool.
It's like saying, for each column, I want to go through and draw all the circles in that column.
Okay, so you use the outer loop to go through the columns and then the inner loop to draw the stuff in the column.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
You got it.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Right, good.
So the source that we're looking at throws in a little twist here.
Oh, a twist.
It asks, what if we just swap the order of the x and y loops?
Oh, interesting.
What if the code looked like this?
Okay.
Python. For y in range, 50, 350, 100.
Yeah.
For x in range, 300, 100. For x in range, 100, 30, 100. Circle, x, y, 20.
I like it already. What happens when we do that?
Yeah, so the source tells us This version of the code actually draws 4 rows of 3 circles
Okay.
instead of 3 rows of 4 circles.
Interesting. So it flips it. Why do you think that happens?
So now the outer loop is controlling y,
Okay.
and it's taking on the values 50, 150, 250, and 350. For each of these y values, the entire inner loop runs.
Right.
And that inner loop has x going through the values 100, 200, and 300.
Gotcha.
So for a fixed y, say y is 50, we're drawing circles at x100, x200, and x300.
Okay.
So that's like a horizontal line, a row of 3 circles.
Yeah.
And then the outer loop moves to the next y value, which would be 150. And then we draw another row of 3 and so on.
Exactly. By switching the order of those loops, we've changed whether we're building our pattern column by column or row by row.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. The outer loop now is dictating which coordinate stays fixed while the inner loop varies, the other one.
Right.
Really highlights that the order in which you nest your loops has a big impact on the final result.
Yeah, so it's not just what numbers are in the range, it's also which loop is inside which loop.
Exactly. It's all about the structure, the nesting.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I guess let's wrap up what we've talked about in this deep dive.
All right, sounds good.
So nested loops are this way to repeat a block of code multiple times.
Right.
And the inner loop runs completely for every single step of that outer loop.
Yep.
So this lets us create these really structured patterns like grids by sort of independently controlling the horizontal and vertical position of things.
Yeah, just like we did with our circles.
Exactly. And so going back to what you all have been learning in Python, you can see how nested loops are a really powerful extension of using range to create sequences.
Absolutely. And think about how you could combine this with group dot children.
Oh, yeah.
If you had a group of different shapes, you could use nested loops to arrange them in a grid.
That's cool.
Using the loop variables to set their x and y positions within the group.
So like instead of drawing a circle, we could be putting a square or a triangle there.
Exactly. You could create all sorts of complex arrangements.
Oh, that's... Yeah. So here's something to think about.
Okay.
What other visual patterns could you create by just changing those numbers in the range functions for both the inner and outer loops? Could you make a bigger or smaller grid? What if the step values were different? Could you maybe create some diagonal lines of circles or even more complex arrangements than just a grid? I don't know, get coding and see what cool patterns you can discover.
Yeah, have fun with it.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
See you next time.
See ya.